So this is catharsis, or a form of catharsis. Kind of me still calming down, trying to burn off some excess energy from a very stressful and bizarre day. And I'm only technically halfway through the day so far, sort of. I've been awake for about 12 hours, I suppose, but the last 3 or 4 have been I tell you what. All right. So I hope everyone will forgive me for not going through the usual preambles of one of my streams, as I'll just sort of lay it out there for the sake of the record, if you want to call it that. So I was doing my work this afternoon, as I usually do, remotely, as it is now. And I just gotten to a point where I was pretty much done with everything that needed to be done for the day. There's a couple of peripheral things that I could have been doing in preparation for month-end billing, which is coming up in the next couple of days, but nothing so pressing that I couldn't take a little bit of a lunch break. So I had some lunch, and it was a nice lunch. There you go, I had some lunch. And then as I'm sort of cleaning up after lunch and everything, I start hearing dripping sounds, watery sounds, and not coming from locations within the autosphere that they should be coming from in my apartment. When I hear water running and dripping sounds above my shower, for example, well, I know my neighbor upstairs is taking a shower or something like that. You know, places where it's expected you're going to hear that kind of thing. Well, I was hearing it from somewhere up at the front of my apartment. I was like, what the heck is that? And it sounded like, you ever have like a really hard rainstorm and water kind of cascades onto concrete? You hear that kind of like dripping, slapping sound. It sounded like that. And so I was like, oh, maybe is it raining? And so I open up the door and it's not raining. And then I eventually detect where it's coming from. It's coming from the area above my water heater, on and within the walls ceiling of that room, my water heater room. And I know what is above my water heater room in the neighbor's apartment above me. It's their water heater room. And so I'm like, dear God, not again. Because it was around a year ago this same time of year. I guess that's kind of redundant, but you know what I mean. It was about a year ago when, for those of you that don't remember the lore of my apartment living, I had water raining down from the door frame of my bathroom because the sink in the neighbor's upstairs bathroom was broken and was leaking water, and it was coming into my apartment. It was a big thing. It kept happening. And I have honestly gained a kind of audio oral PTSD. My brain's all over the place. If I hear water sounds coming from places they shouldn't, I immediately get all sorts of anxious. And boy, howdy, was it happening today. So I know without thinking too hard, I put my hand up on the ceiling, and the ceiling is warm. And there's one little spot, probably the lowest spot on the ceiling where all the water is starting to pool, that is starting to get a little warmer and a little softer. And I'm like, oh no. And so I run upstairs and I pound on the door and I pound on the door. And just like as is previous, my neighbors upstairs either aren't home or just simply do not answer the door. And so I'm like, okay, I what do I do? Well, I call the apartment manager and he answers, thankfully, but he's not in town. He's off somewhere doing a thing and stuff. So he has to call somebody else. And in the course of this, I run back upstairs and I knock on the door again because I start hearing somebody moving around upstairs. And I'm thinking, okay, somebody's home. Somebody's home. I go up and knock on the door. Knock, knock, knock. Lady comes to the door. I'm like, I think your water heater's leaking. I think it's busted. And she looks at me like I'm from another planet. And then she starts speaking to me in Thai because she doesn't speak English. And so then for the next 10 minutes with her phone doing the text-to-speech translation ping pong ball process, we go back and forth. And I explain to her, something is leaking in your apartment and it is coming down into mine and threatening this, that, and the other. And so I say, can I go look in the room with the water heater to see what's going on? And she's like, oh, okay. And so I open up the door. And you would think I was stepping into an episode of Hoarders because that entire room is filled to the brim with stuff. And there's absolutely no way to either get to or see what is going on around the base of their water heater. But there's no other location it could be coming from. And of course, there's nothing I can do about it. And I can't even get back there to maybe try to turn the water up. I don't know. So I'm just like, oh my God. Okay, well, I tell her, I'm going to call the repairman, the maintenance guy for the apartment building. Will you be here to open the door when he gets here? And I have to go through the phone thing again because she doesn't understand what I'm saying. And she gives me some indication of a positive, yes, I'll be here. Like, okay. So I go call the water heater, the repairman. And I finally get a hold of him, thankfully. And I say, hey, there's a spot in my ceiling. I think the water's going to bust through any minute. I don't know, but it's just keep going. I think the water heater upstairs busted, blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay, well, I'm 30 minutes out. So I'll be there as soon as I can. Like, okay, thank you. He says the one problem is that we've had problems with getting into or contacting the people in that apartment above you. So I'm going to need to make sure this, that, and the other. Like, oh, no, I talked to her. She's there. I'll go check with her and make sure she's going to be, willing to open up the door when you get here. And I go upstairs and I knock on the door. No answer. I knock on the door again. No answer. The lady hadn't gone anywhere. Like, no answer. Like, what's going on? So the thing is, I know that lady staying there is a roommate. She is not the lady who actually rents the apartment. So fortunately, because of the catastrophe of plumbing last year, I do have the contact number for the lady that rents the apartment upstairs. And so I text her. I say, your apartment is flooding. Please call me. And thankfully, within about 15, 20 minutes, she calls me and she's like, what's going on? And I'm like, well, here's the thing. And I lay it out for her. And she's like, okay, well, I'll be there as soon as I can. Like, okay, thank you. And so, but all this entire time, water's dripping, water's running. Oh boy. And I'm freaking out because I'm like, is it going to start, busting through my ceiling? Is it going to become this big catastrophe? Is it, I don't know. Right. I mean, I've got anxiety up the yin yang and plus PTSD and who knows what else. Before I go any further, I can't avoid this. Obviously, Kiro Soldier, thank you so much for the happy, cheeky-faced Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox.
Wowie, wow.
And there's a Weebo Jones Dogcat Fox. Thank you, Kiro Soldier. So, so I'm just kind of like waiting around, freaking out. I call Sister Scribe just to vent, tell her what's going on. And she's like, is there something you need me to do? And I'm just like, no, just listen, because I'm freaking out. And so I'm waiting. And maybe about half an hour later, neighbor lady shows up, the lady that rents the apartment upstairs and whose roommate is the one that can't communicate with anybody. And so I say, oh, thank goodness. I need to check your water heater again and see if we can do something about this. The repairman's on his way and everything else. Try to explain to her what's going on. And so we go up there and she's able to move. I mean, I didn't feel comfortable moving her stuff out of there to get to the water heater earlier, but she moved some stuff out of the way. And I kind of, wedge my way around and put my hand down behind the thing. And yeah, the linoleum underneath the water heater is all warped. It's all wet. I'm like, oh no. And the water heater looks like it's out of the 1980s. So the thing is probably, it was probably long overdue for replacement, but either way. So I'm like, okay, well, the repairman's on his way. He's supposed to be here. He was supposed to be here like maybe within a half an hour, now 15 minutes or something. I guess we'll just have to wait. And thank you, Kiever Dam, for the note. The GoFundMe's are in chat. Appreciate it. I'll post those at the top of the. This isn't like a regular stream, guys. This is a sort of cathartic venting stream. I appreciate the attention and the support. So thank you, Kira Soldier. Thank you, Kiefer Dam. And before I go completely off base, if you guys could please take a look at the GoFundMe's at the top of the chat for our friends Moonshock, Angela, Ariaga, Rhonda, James Colley, and Grisella. They could use some help if you can give it. If you can't, that's fine. If you can, share those out on social media. That would be appreciated. All right. So lady upstairs and her roommate, they start moving everything out of the water heater room. And then neighbor lady, I'm just going to call her neighbor lady. Neighbor lady comes down and we just start talking. And I'm like still watching the driveway of the apartment complex, waiting for the repairman to show up. And just kind of like, my brain's going a mile a minute thinking, oh my gosh. And I just hear the dripping of the water sounds off to the side because I'm standing outside my apartment now with the door open because the water heater's in the front room. And I'm just kind of, freaking out. But we start talking and she starts talking to me and we just start chit-chatting about, this apartment building and the repairs that need to be done all the time and the problems we've had with maintenance in the past and everything else, just kind of shooting the breeze. And as things proceed, us just chit-chatting, even though my mind is going a mile a minute about both work and month end, and I've got this water thing, and where's the repairman? And am I going to have to is there going to be like a hole in my ceiling now? Is it going to be flooding my apartment in the next 5 minutes when the ceiling breaks through? I get distracted by the fact that I think my neighbor lady is flirting with me. I'm not sure, because as a man, I have a very hard time sometimes telling the difference between simple friendliness and sociability and someone, flirting with me. So I just kind of dismiss it and go like, okay, well, I'm not in the right mind to even consider what's going on here and everything else. Besides the fact that I know, because I've had previous interactions with involved parties, well, she's a single mom. She's got a boyfriend, and apparently she lives in a different town, but she maintains this apartment as sort of like a fallback if something goes wrong with the boyfriend. I don't know. It's all very bizarre. But anyway, so we're chit-chatting and everything else. And finally she goes upstairs and says, well, text me when the repair guy is here, so I'll be sure to open up the door and everything. And I go, okay. So I'll wait another 10, 20 minutes, whatever else. The guy got distracted because he had thought there wasn't going to be anybody there to open up the apartment. So he had to go to a different place to get the master key. And only then was he on his way. So he was actually a half hour, 45 minutes behind what I thought he was. And he didn't know that I was already in contact with the apartment lady. And it was just, comedy of errors kind of thing. But anyway, neither here nor there. Nobody's fault. Thank you, Okie Native. If she invites the Thai roommate, she's flirting. You remember that part, huh? Yeah. So anyway, so eventually repair guy shows up, and I bring him down into my water heater room, and he hears the dripping and everything. I show him a little spot that's starting to get bigger, that's getting a little softer up in the roof. And he goes upstairs, he turns off the water heater, he turns off all the water pressure, gets everything as much as he can. He doesn't have a new water heater with him right now, so he can't replace it. He doesn't have the pump with him right now, so he can't pump out the water. But he gets everything scheduled and squared away that tomorrow morning they will be here to replace the water heater and do all the stuff that they need to do. Which is good, except that the water heater is still up there and the peripheral water is still dripping. And so that's, it's not dripping any more than it was, but it's still dripping. So I've got a bucket underneath the thing, and who knows what's going to happen between now and tomorrow morning. But anyway, so that all happens. As much as can be done is done, and things start to calm down, and I start to try to calm down. I'm like, okay, well, I've done everything that I could. Everything that can be done has been done. It's not conceivably going to get any worse from here on out, and whatever damage there is, they're going to have to deal with it, and hopefully it's not going to become a problem for me. So I shut my door, and I sit down, and I start doing a little bit of work because I need to take my mind off of stuff, and I left a little bit of work behind that I could have done anyway when I was taking lunch. So I'm like, okay, I'm taking some work. Suddenly my phone rings. I'm like, what's this? And at first I thought, who calls me? Oh, I thought it was my sister just checking in, because Sister Scribe, she loves me. I love my sister, and we take care of each other. And so occasionally she calls in and checks in. But it wasn't her. No, it was neighbor lady. Now, neighbor lady, English isn't her first language. Her English isn't terrible, but it's a little, it can be a little difficult sometimes, and might need some things repeated. And she calls and just says, okay, so the repair guy is going to be out here tomorrow in the afternoon. And I had already gotten this information from the repairman himself. I had talked to him before he left, but she didn't know that. So I just, I didn't want to correct her or anything, or say, I already know this stuff or something. So she's telling me this stuff, and I'm just like, okay, are you going to be here tomorrow? She says, no, I'll be at work, but my roommate is going to let them in. Like, okay, well, I'm going to be on the lookout for the repairman. So if they show up and they start knocking and nobody's opening, I will, contact them, and I'll text you to let you know, to let your roommate, to let them in, et cetera, et cetera. She's like, okay. And then she says something that I don't quite understand at first. She's like, do you want to talk? Do you have a drink? And I'm like, do I, what? And it just didn't, in the context of things, it just didn't register. I'm like, oh, sorry, what? And it's like, do you have any drinks? I'm like, you mean like beers or something? Like, oh no, I don't. And truthfully, I don't. I know I talk about pepper jacks all the time, but I don't always have. I'm not stocked with whiskey every 24/7 or anything. And I'm like, what? She said, oh, I just want to know if you wanted to like have some drinks and talk. And I'm like, oh, this is awkward. Because you're already seeing someone and I don't know you that well. And and with that as a pause break, Alan Thyler, thank you so much. Let me pull it up here. Sorry, 1 second. There we go. Alan Thyler, thank you so much for the heart-hugging, lovely dog cat fox. Oh, dog cat fox.
Wow.
I need a little cheer me up with that. Thank you, Alan. And thank you, Tailed Feature, wherever you are. And thank you, Duck Dog. What a jerk. He doesn't have an extra water heater up his redacted to the YouTubers. Yeah, I know. He just, on an unplanned emergency call, he just didn't happen to have a spare water heater in his truck. I know it's what a jerk. No, the repairman's great. I mean, compared to the previous administration of this building, the people that run it now are great, but even they are kind of dismayed at how things were left before they took over. Anyway, so neighbor lady just want to know if I wanted to like talk over some drinks. Now, on the one hand, I felt a little vindicated, you know, that my, even in the midst of having my brain going all over the place because of emergency and stress and everything else, that my, you know, flirtation detection system was at least somewhat accurate. I wasn't completely, you know, off in the land of egotism in that instance. And as is unavoidable in those cases, I was to a certain extent flattered, certainly, but it was just not the circumstances I would want to invite confusions. Because like I said, she's got a boyfriend. So maybe maybe there's some kind of like cultural disconnect and she really just does mean just talk, you know, just hang out, just be friendly. Like maybe that's it. Maybe I'm overthinking it. At the same time though, because of the implications, I figure it's probably safer not to invite that kind of confusion, drama, or miscommunication. Plus the fact that I didn't have any drinks, plus the fact that I was not, I mean, my apartment is not a pigsty, but it's certainly, you know, light-wise, little, you know, organized fraternity dorm room kind of. So I wasn't really prepared for company in the first place. And I certainly was not in the mindset to have really interesting conversations at that stage of the game. Plus, I did have work I had to do. I wasn't making that up. But anyway, so this very awkward conversation happens, and I give her basically what is the I'm washing my hair thing. I'm like, oh, no, I'm sorry. I don't have any drinks, and I had to interrupt my work day for the stuff, and so I got stuff I got to do. I appreciate the thought. I appreciate that, but I really get on that. So, you know, sorry to let her down softly, but I did my bit in trying to be polite and understanding. She's not unattractive or anything, but it's just, you know, it's the combination of circumstances and factors that just like, it's not, yeah. And I don't really operate that way. You know, for those of you that know anything about my personal lore, I have been the other man a couple of times now in my past, and I don't even want to tempt fate in having anybody confuse what was going on with anything. And I don't, yeah. So anyway, perhaps too much information, but it's a thing that just kind of happened in the last hour or so. And now I am decompressing. And how do I decompress now? Well, by live streaming, I guess. You know, having this sort of outlet, having a what's the word I'm looking for? Sympathetic audience, perhaps. Perhaps add a little comedy to your day in the travails of mine. I don't know. Is this how podcasts actually work in real life? You know, can you structure a podcast any better than this? I don't think so. Holy cats. Thank you again, Keeverdam. Wow. Send her Cochrane's way. Yeah, no, he might appreciate it. But yeah, that's as of right now, that is my day so far. Work, water crisis, awkward flirting, and now live stream. Now, again, I have my fingers crossed because the dripping the dripping from the water heater upstairs has not stopped. It has reduced significantly from where it was before when it kept running. But now that the water's been turned off and the pressure's been turned off and everything else for the time being, it's definitely reduced. But there's still a water heater full of water upstairs that is not functioning, and there's still the dripping going. So I'm not sure if I'm going to have a hole in my ceiling come tomorrow morning, or if there's going to be just a cascade of water coming down into my front room sometime tonight. So I'm still a little on edge because of that, but I guess I will cross that proverbial bridge when we come to it. And yeah, so that's where I'm at. How are you? Should I do something else? I feel like I've been talking for an hour, but it's only been about 21 minutes or thereabouts. Yeah, not exactly news of the world going on here. Just the everyday idiosyncrasies of my world. Tomorrow, granted something else crazy doesn't happen, tomorrow I will be hopefully having my last assessment for my Invisalign, and I can get these chunks of plastic out of my mouth so I'm not constantly having to try to talk around them and mispronunciation things, because I feel like I've got, well, 2 chunks of plastic I'm trying to talk around, which I usually am. And I'll no longer have irate Alex level teeth. Oh boy. Still sore after all these years. So with that, I don't know. Should I talk about something else? I don't have any drinks on me. So, boy, oh boy, I'm seeing a whole bunch of names I don't see very often on here. Let's see, who else here? Blitz Zero, Newells 2. Who else is here? Gen T Maxi, Perpetual Platypussy, Okie Native, Payar D Bayar, Duck Dog. Who else is here? Tony Giff, SWD 40. Do you have any swingers paraphernalia lying around that your neighbor picked up on? No. That is, she was not anywhere near that particular drawer in my dresser. Anyway, Travis Gardner, thank you so much. Could be worse. Someone is in an office at OU debuzzwording a DEI manual to skirt the law just for her ex to send the screenshots to his rep. Yeah, I wonder what you could be referring to. Yes, Travis Gardner alerted me to the fact that the Oklahoma University has, on the basis of the governor's declaration about trying to outlaw DEI programs and things, has renamed their office from the Diversity and Inclusion Office to, what was it again? I suddenly forget. Let's see here. The Division of Access and Opportunity, DAO, Dragon Age Origins. So the Division of Access and Opportunity instead of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office. Holy, well, I mean, if that's one way to do it, but apparently nobody's losing their job, and only the job titles are changing along with the division title. So, Leopard changing its spots, not so much. But yeah, that's a thing that happened. What else is going on? I don't know. Should I do some news? Is there something else to talk about? Can I get away from this particular subject for a while? I don't know. I'm just now I'm kind of floating on the decompression stage of things. I'm on the downward end of the bell curve on my anxiety. I didn't quite have an anxiety attack as a result of this, but I'll tell you what, it came pretty close. Holy cow, Duck Dog, thank you so much. I've got a bottle of Dickel 15-year and Ezra Brooks 7 single barrel if you need it. Well, I appreciate the offer, but then I would have drinks in my apartment and I'd feel like I was lying to somebody in particular, and I don't like lying to people, unless it's absolutely necessary, sometimes. Let's see. Shall we look at the news for a minute? I suppose. Oh, here we go. I guess I should probably address this. So, as you know, I live on the moon. I don't know if you knew that, but I do. It's true. I live on the moon, and I recently had a new neighbor take up residence in my backyard, And that's not it. It wasn't a dinosaur, I swear. But it was the Odysseus lunar lander. The lunar lander that Dogcat Fox dutifully attempted to waylay as to not bother us. He only got so far as to knock it on its side, unfortunately. But there are new photos, apparently, from Odysseus, the lunar lander. And we can take a look at some of those now. Let's do that. The Odysseus spacecraft has dispatched new images it captured of the lunar surface during the lander's harrowing approach to the moon. The vehicle softly touched down on the moon on Thursday, becoming the first U.S.-made lander to do so since the Apollo era. Gently touched down on its side. The grainy images were shared by Intuitive Machines, the company that developed Odysseus, on Monday morning. The company had initially projected that the lander could deliver the first images captured from the lunar surface in the hours after landing, but communicating with the spacecraft has proven challenging. The mission team believes Odysseus tipped on the lunar soil and landed on its side, resting on a rock, which may have left some of the vehicle's antennas pointed in an inopportune direction, not an inappropriate, Intuitive Machines revealed Friday. In its update Monday, the company also said it now expects to lose contact with Odysseus on Tuesday, days earlier than initially hoped. Dogcat Fox might have something to do with that. Quote, flight controllers intend to collect data until the lander's solar panels are no longer exposed to light, the company said in an update posted on the social media platform X. You can't just say posted on X anymore. We're slowly getting there because earlier it was the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, now X. Now it's just the social media platform X. Eventually, you'll just say X and people know what you're talking about. I guess it's kind of a transitional phase. Quote, based on Earth and Moon positioning, we believe flight controllers will continue to communicate with Odysseus until Tuesday morning. At that point, Odysseus will have been operating less than 5 days on the lunar surface. The company has suggested in previous updates that the lander could function for up to 9 days. Wow. All right, let's look at the images. Okay, there's some PS1 graphics of shadow on moon, I guess. Good to know. Oh, there's a much sharper one. Oh, wait, that's NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. That's not from the actual thing. Okay, so that little dot is Odysseus on a much clearer image. Okay. Wait, that's it? That's the image? There's not a slideshow? Or do I have to play this video to see the images? I'm kind of scared to do so in case they're going to show me something I don't want to see or I'm going to get copyright. So let me move it up there a little bit and see what happens. Anything going to happen? No. Just anything going to happen? He's going to buffer.
All stations. This is Mission Director.
Yeah, no. I don't know. So this is not images of the. So you have one image. The whole article is about images from the lander, but you give us one image. Great. Okay. Well, there you go. That is the best that 21st century imaging technology can do. Apparently, a grainy, messed up image of a blob that might be a shadow and a leg. Okay. I mean, I think I had better image quality in AOL Online back in the 90s, but hey, whatever works for you. Hi. But there's some moon news. You like moon news? I like moon news. Oh, what else shall we do? Oh, there's other moon news. I didn't. Okay, sure. Why not? Let's do some other moon news. I guess there's more moon news. Hold on. What's this? Japan's moon sniper miraculously wakes up on lunar surface. I have another neighbor now? What? Why? Japan's moon sniper is the lunar mission that keeps coming back to life. It's a zombie. After being dormant for most of February, the spacecraft miraculously woke up over the weekend and transmitted new images to Earth. Well, I'll tell you what. The Japanese have a much better imaging system than Intuitive Machines. Because look at that. You can actually see like grains of lunar dust. Oh, man. Let's see. This feat was unexpected given that the lunar lander wasn't designed to survive the moon's harsh temperatures. Known as SLIM, or the Smart Lander for Investigating Moon, the robotic vehicle's touchdown on January 19th made Japan the third country this century and the fifth ever to land on the moon. During descent, however, the spacecraft experienced an anomaly, dog, cat, fox, and landed on its nose, which meant its solar panels were facing west rather than upright and not receiving necessary sunlight to generate power. After just a couple hours operating on limited battery power, the lander sent back a mosaic image of its landing site before shutting down. Japan's space agency had hoped light might reach the spacecraft's solar cells as the sun's angle on the moon shifted, allowing the vehicle to reawaken. Sure enough, the Moon Sniper, so named for the precision technology that enabled it to land just 55 meters from its target, woke up 10 days later and began taking new images. But the spacecraft's waking hours were short, and on January 31st, the Moon Sniper entered what JAXA called a 2-week dormancy period during the long lunar night. Temperatures during the lunar night can plunge to minus 208 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 133 degrees Celsius if you're working with communistic measuring systems, according to NASA. The last scene of the moon from the lander's perspective before lunar night was shared on X. On X, you mean not the social media platform currently known as? Okay, well, you're getting better at it. Was shared on X on February 1st once the mission team sent commands to the Moon Sniper and confirmed it was in a dormant state. Basically, are you asleep? Yes. The spacecraft wasn't designed to withstand such temperatures, but the team had said it would try to reestablish communication with the lander again in mid-February. Meanwhile, a Houston-based company called Intuitive Machines, blah, as we said before. Over the weekend, the SLIM mission team sent a command to Moon Sniper and received a response, quote, confirming that the spacecraft had made it through the lunar night and maintained communication capabilities. JAXA revealed on X, formerly known as Twitter. You didn't say that before. Okay. Communication with SLIM was terminated after a short time as it was still lunar midday and the temperature of the communication equipment was very high. Preparations are being made to resume operations when instrument temperatures have sufficiently cooled, the agency shared in its post on X. Moon nights were cold, but moon days were extremely hot. When we communicated with Earth last night, the temperature of some of our equipment was already over 100 degrees Celsius. We didn't expect temperatures to be this high, but it's amazing that space electronics still work. Well, there you go. I got 2 new neighbors on the moon. I got the Japanese and I've got some American corporation. Yay. 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 Thank you again, Oki Native. So it crashed. Must have been designed by the OceanGate Titan Company. Oh, it didn't implode. It just landed on its nose. That's all. That's all. That's all. That's all. Okay, well, unexpected moon news. 2 moon news. I don't have any other moon news, do I? Let's see. No, that's all Hollywood gossip news. Supreme Court stuff, Gaza stuff. I don't know if there's anything worth talking about there. I don't know that I want to delve into world politics and military actions and things right now. Try to keep it light. Try to keep it relaxing. Because boy, howdy, have I had a day. As I said, holy cats again, Alan Thyler. Golly gee, thank you, Alan, again, for the lovely heart-hugging dog cat fox. Oh, dog cat fox.
Wow-wee! Wow! Wow!
That is a drunken uncle dog cat fox. Thank you, Alan, again. Appreciate it. It's very generous of you. Texas Attorney General secret agent. Wait, it's Sunday? No, it's not Sunday. I took Sunday off. I was out of sorts for different reasons on Sunday, and I was just like, I don't have anything. I did a stream on Saturday about the NBA, and I figured, it's not a Sunday stream, but it is what it is, and hopefully you enjoyed it. I found it interesting in a way. Thank you, Matt Barnes. Hey, Scribe, long time no see. Moon night is cold, just not in a temperature matter. Yeah, Moon night. Oh, man. What? Don't get me started with Disney Plus shows, dude. I'll be on here forever. Keeverdam, thank you again. Moon news. Moonshock's 50th birthday was like 50 years old. What? Holy cats. That guy's... I'm not 50. But hey, Moonshock 50 and unfortunately fighting cancer again. So again, as I already mentioned earlier, but I'll mention again, top of the chat box, there's a GoFundMe up there for Moonshock, as well as Angela Arriaga, Rhonda, James Colley, and Grisella. If you guys can take a look at those. I might be playing favorites, at least for the sake of the moment, but certainly at Moonshocks. Beat cancer twice. He's on a third round. Let's make sure he has a bunch more birthdays. So if you can donate, please do so. Let's see. Tony Giff, did you watch the end of True Detective? I did not. I got through the first 2 episodes of season, what is it, 4? Or Night Country, whatever that is. And I just couldn't, I could not drum up the enthusiasm even to hate watch the rest of it. I gave it 2 episodes. You know, if a show can't grab me within 2 episodes, I figure it's probably not worth my time. And I already did a stream on this, but it certainly did not grab me within 2 episodes. And more than anything else, it frustrated me, and I believe in a lot of ways insulted my intelligence. And I just did not have it in me to want to continue finding out. Like, even as tantalizing a quasi supernatural mystery as they'd set up, that sort of harkened back to John Carpenter's The Thing, or other such sort of supernatural thing, and perhaps even eldritch type stuff, I couldn't be bothered. I just could not be bothered. So maybe someday I'll sit down and plow through the rest of it, but it's not something I'm looking forward to anytime in the near future. What am I watching right now? I'm going over the crime series documentary on Netflix, Who Killed Jill Dando, who is a British news broadcaster from the 1990s, and a mystery. And spoiler alert, they tell you at the very front of the episode, the first episode, it's still unsolved to this day. And so I'm like, look, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe you should not give away that watching this entire series is going to result in nothing. I mean, it's going to be a letdown for the audience by the end anyway, probably. But, if you start out by saying it's still unsolved to this day, then everything we're about to hear is just an exercise in futility. Thanks a lot, Netflix. But yeah, so I'm watching that bit by bit. And beyond that, I'm also here and there, I've been watching, it's called Creature on Netflix. I just call it Turkish Frankenstein because it's Turkish Frankenstein. It's interesting. It's an interesting production, even though it's, again, if you know it's Frankenstein, you kind of know what's going to happen, how things are going to play out. But either way, there's one weird thing about it, though. There's 2 actors in there, the main actor, and then there's this side character. And they are 2 different characters, and they're played by 2 different actors. But I swear the 2 of them look so similar that when they first appeared on screen, I could have sworn it was the same actor playing 2 different roles, just that one of them, in one instance, he's wearing a wig, a blonde wig, and the other one he isn't. But no, they're 2 different people. It's just that you look at them side by side, like, okay, yes, they're two different people, but they look like they might be brothers or something. It's just so, at best, brothers. It's just bizarre. But anyway, so yeah, Turkish Frankenstein and Who Killed Jill Dando, pardon me. But yeah, I don't know if I have anything else. I don't know that there's any other news to go over, anything else. Is there anything else anybody wanted me to talk about or wanted to bring up? I'd like to give this at least maybe 45 minutes of a stream and not, feel like I'm wasting anybody's time or anything otherwise. After my dramatic retelling of the day's events and then going over moon news. Tony Gibbs says, terrible, just ghosts. Yeah, that was one thing, and I'm not going to go too much further into it because I don't want to repeat myself from my other stream, but I've only seen season 1 of True Detective prior to this. I never had the opportunity or really the interest to watch the other seasons. I only watched the first 2 episodes of this new season of True Detective because it happened to be available on Hulu, and I don't know that was there before. Maybe it was. Anyway, so the first season of True Detective, the supernatural implications of what was going on was very abstract and was left open to interpretation. So it wasn't like a direct, something supernatural is going on. It's either just creepy things or people having, visions or hallucinations or something. In True Detective season 4 or Night Country, whichever it is, they don't leave any ambiguity. And I'm just like, okay, so it's ghosts. There's really ghosts happening here. We're not talking about a, insidious, suggestive, supernatural force present in the story. There are ghosts. Okay, great. I actually don't appreciate that when you're trying to keep things grounded. But anyway, moon-based security. Uh-oh. Well, I've got some questions for you. Odysseus was easy to take care of, like tipping blue milk cows. Yes. Yes, Odysseus tipped over. Who was in the boat when the boat tipped over? Anyway. Let's see. Emperor W.R. Costa. Why is Dog Cat Fox evil, Scribe? He's not evil. He's very protective. He's very territorial. He's not evil. So like, somebody, some unknown creature, entity, or otherwise comes near Moonbase, he gets protective. I mean, he may be a little ruthless because he doesn't know how else to be when it comes to being protective, but he's not evil. It's like, is a bear evil for catching and eating a fish? No, he's just doing what he does. He's just doing what he does. So yeah, there you go. I know. Great insight on the lore of Moonbase. Boy, howdy. So many people showing up. I apologize. Obviously there was no plan for this stream to happen. This is me doing a glorified calming down sequence. And I think I am now that I've vented a bit and told my story and distracted myself with some moon news. I feel a little bit better about things. And I appreciate you guys showing up. Let's see. What's this from Spittle Buggies? I'm watching the stuff the armed forces produced for Vietnam War. It's so interesting how they proceeded, even though they never should have. Yeah, that's a topic that I know just enough about to be dangerous. Everything I know is from documentaries and things. There are people who know more about the Vietnam War than I possibly could say. So, but yeah, the filmmaking during that time, the focus, and just the tragedy and the vitality of that particular war, and how it wasn't. I mean, maybe obviously I'm looking back at a time where I wasn't even alive, and maybe through rose-colored glasses. And of course, in contrast to how wars are prosecuted these days, but there's nothing sugar-coated about that war. There was nothing pre-packaged and sort of rah Americana about that war, like the last few wars we've been in. Or the I don't know. It's something where my brain could probably go in different directions, but I'd be babbling, so I'd better just lay off. Best just lay off. And in that vein, I think I will wrap this up. I appreciate you all showing up to listen to my tales of woe and bewilderment over the course of the day. If you just popped in the middle of things and have no idea what I'm talking about, well, the rewind button is there, and you can hear all about my adventures today with water heaters and flirtatious neighbors. Let's see, programming notes otherwise, unless something untoward happens between now and then, because who knows in this state of things. Thursday, per usual, will be TED Excellence at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, where I'll go over another off-brand TED Talk for education and enlightenment. I'm still working on trying to line up like guests or co-hosts for those things, but it always ends up being last minute, or people's schedules don't work out or something. So working on it otherwise. Beyond that, I don't know. The way this week is going, there might be other ambush streams as we go. Might be other things that I'm working on. We shall see. But with that, everyone, I won't keep you any longer than you decide to stay. Again, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Moderators, thank you so much for keeping an eye on things. Even though everyone here is so well behaved, you have very, very little to do. Everybody who donated either to myself or to the GoFundMe's pinned at the top of the chat box, thank you guys so much for your generosity. It is very much appreciated, especially when things like this happen out of the blue. If you'd like to join the Discord server, there is a link in the chat now. You just have to click on that, and you'll find yourself on the landing channel called Say Hello. And in addition to saying hello, you just have to give me the secret word. The secret word will tell me that you actually watched the stream and have thus earned the right, the privilege, the entitlement to join the Discord server. And today's secret word is water heater. Just say hello, water heater, and I'll know that you watched the show. Everybody, hope you have a good rest of your Monday night and the rest of the week ahead of you, especially those of you that have to deal with month-end billing, because I will be doing so in the next 24 hours. Otherwise, hope you have a good rest of your week. And if I don't talk to you before then, rest of your weekend. I hope you're all safe and well. If you are not well, please get well soon. And I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.